νομίζω κάνει φοβερή δουλειά στην Ομόνοια.
And we called taxi, and with Kilian, I opened the door behind, I put him in the taxi, and I closed the door, and I want to go inside, and Kilian go out.
You're gonna get someone messaging you afterwards saying, "Why did you mention me?"
Hey, fuck them.
She say, I cry because you are here today.
Πάμε σιλά καμουφτιά, βρεγά,
There we go, Edo. Welcome to another edition of the No Choftes podcast on the OLB. Don't forget to like, subscribe, tell your NOUNA. Apologies for that bit at the beginning. I meant to hit the intro and it just stopped everything. And I'm still getting used to this. I'm not a technophobe, but I'm still getting used to it. This is the No Choftes podcast. I've got a gentleman on this podcast. He's a returning guest. He's and to be honest, the most important thing about this guest is that he's a Jordi Gomez enthusiast. In fact, he's the biggest Jordi Gomez fan on the planet. Danny Fishwick of Wolves. How you doing, mate? Long time no speak.
I'm good, yeah. How are you?
Yeah, it's been a while since we did a show together. Good few months now, yeah?
Yeah, it's been a while.
There you go. There you go.
Time flies.
When you're having fun, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. Lots of fun.
And I see you're wearing your Danny Fishwick shirt there, so you're still at work, technically.
Yeah, still at work, and it's been a long day.
I'm not going to ask why. I'm not going to ask why, mate. You know, when the international break is over, you got all the players coming back. And
exactly.
Yeah, anyway. Well, look, the premise of this particular episode is for you to tell us about the charity fundraiser you and the medical staff are doing at this moment. I think this is the third year you guys are doing this charity run. Is that correct?
Yeah, we try and do something every year for charity. I think the first 2 years, 2 years ago we did a running one for cure leukemia, and then last year we did like a raffle auction kind of thing for cure leukemia as well. But this year there's a couple of like medical staff at Rotherham who have been doing this running for Prostate Cancer UK every year, and it's been growing and growing and growing over the last 3 years, I think. So it's the biggest year so far this year, and we thought we'd tag along and help out. So yeah, it's big in with the staff in football. So it's a really good cause, and there's lots of people involved.
Well, mate, before we talk about the actual fundraiser itself, what can you tell our listeners about prostate cancer and the severity? Obviously, you know, in the UK, we have a big drive on charities such as, you know, Prostate 2021. I think Rafa Benitez has done some walks as well to raise some money. I think Jeff Stelling as well. But in terms of letting people know the severity of this, how can you put it into words?
Yeah, like you say, it's severe. It's something that people don't realise they've got. They might have the smallest symptom and they push it to one side because it won't happen to me. So there's lots of different things with the big C, but it's something that needs checking, and that's why people should, if there's any problems that you not yourself or there's anything going on that isn't the norm, then it just needs to be checked. And rather than, as well as raising money, it's about raising awareness as well. So yes, we're fundraising, but at the same time, it's raising awareness of the charity and the help it can give.
Are there any like telltale signs of prostate cancer developing? Do you know?
Well, apart from abnormalities or anything that's not the same down there, if you find blood in your feces or your anything like that, there's lots of telltale signs that could lead to that. So if anything's not the norm, it's worth getting checked. And
that's just going to your GP or your doctor, really. And
definitely.
Yeah, and so again, for people who don't quite understand how it works in inverted commas, what's the normal procedure on how a doctor would check? Because obviously these are things that people need to know, because if it, God forbid, anything happens to one of our viewers or listeners or whatever, they're going to need to know how it's done and what to expect, if that makes sense. You go online, you hear all sorts of stories, but you being in medicine, you know better than Google, I guess.
Yeah, well, basically, if there's anything not normal, then the main person to see is a doctor, and if the doctors are the specialists in that field, so as soon as a doctor can see a telltale sign, they'll refer you to a specialist, and the telltale signs are from being assessed and from going through the symptoms, and from there they can send you to be referred if needs be. 9 times out of 10 it'll be nothing to worry about, and they'll be very happy to give you the medication needed or anything like that. But it's that 1 out of 10 that it could be. So it's about getting checked and getting referred from there. So it's important that anything not normal to the person is picked up and checked.
Fair enough. All right, let's talk about this charity drive then you guys are doing. Yeah, a couple of years ago you did leukemia. In fact, last year was it leukemia as well, wasn't it? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, you did the raffles. This year you're still doing the walk as you did last year. So how did you guys just get together to do this? Was it just like, oh, well, you know, it's that time of year again, we're going to do a charity, but then you worked with the guys at Rotherham as well and you mucked in?
Yeah, well, basically the guys at Rotherham have been doing this run for prostate cancer for the last 3 years, and on the first year is when we tagged along at the end of the month. They did it in the November, and the idea for us to do it for cure leukemia, we did it in the December. So they did 10k a day in November, we did 10k a day in December for a different charity. They've continued that and did it last November with more people involved. And then we did the charity raffle for cure leukemia in the December. This year they've made it bigger and invited all the clubs in the Football League to join in. We're one of them teams that have joined in. They keep in touch with me a lot, so it was a case of spreading the word around the club and seeing who was up for it and who wanted to be involved. There's 3 different parts of the challenge, so because people worried about doing 10k a day, and from doing it myself, it was very, very difficult, and I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. So I did that in December a couple of years ago, and I wouldn't do it again. So this year I'm doing the 5k, but you get a choice of doing 10k run or 25k bike every day, 5k run or 15k bike, or 3k run or 10k bike every day. So there's different levels and everyone can get involved more or less, which is the aim of getting as many people involved as possible.
10k bike doesn't sound like a lot when you think about it, but when you get on that bike, you know, I get up to like 3k, I'm thinking, oh, I can't do this no more, man. It's not just like the fatigue, it's just being bored. You know, There's only so much Netflix you can watch.
There isn't. It goes on forever.
That's it. So I guess the run is probably better off, I guess, yeah?
Well, personally, I think the runs are harder and they're more challenging at the same time as it's harder on the joints, as well as being more, what's the word?
We've got
like aesthetically pleasing,
yeah,
and less boring, like you say. You can obviously going out on the bike's a bit different if it's an outdoor bike, but if you're on a gym bike that looking at the same wall for 30-40 minutes, then it can get quite boring. But I've obviously there's a mixture. Some people, because of the joints and everything, they've not been able to do runs every day, and they've been swapping it around and managing the load, so to speak. But I've tried to do the running every day, which is difficult, especially when you need the motivation when it's dark in the morning and it's freezing. But yeah, it's more challenging to do the running, and I think a lot of people are trying to get all the runs out as far as they can until they roll an ankle or hurt themselves, and then they'll start on the bike.
Jesus. So you're effectively doing 5k a day for the
Yeah.
whole of this month. How do you prepare for something as arduous as this? Because we hear about people doing marathons and they take months and months and months to prepare. 5K a day probably doesn't sound like a lot to, someone that's involved in sport, but for someone such as myself, who I hate doing cardio, I hate it.
You're struggling then?
Yeah, big time, big time. So how do you prepare yourself for this? Is it something that you're used to doing?
I've always liked running, and I wouldn't do it every day usually. I've always tried and do something physical every day, so whether that be the bike or the gym or going for a run. But with the time constraints with work, long days and traveling, it's difficult to get running every day. So it's usually a mixture. So with training, I've just carried on as normal and tried to do a bit more running, and saved the fun for this month of the running every day. But yeah, it's not as challenging as a marathon would be. But again, the people doing 10K a day as well, or even doing 5K, if you're not used to it, some training would be required before that to just get up to speed and get your body used to the constant impact with the floor. So it is a challenge, and I won't wish the 10K a day on my worst nightmare. It's very difficult. Really, I can't explain how difficult it was, and I wouldn't do it again.
I see the map that you put on every day when you upload, your run, and I see like the red line going right round, and I'm thinking, I can't imagine how many puddles he stepped in, how many cars he's had to dodge, how many mothers on there with push chairs he had to swerve around.
Yeah,
Where are you running?
Yeah, the good thing is, because I try and get my run out in the morning, so then I'm not thinking about it all day. But the good thing of doing it in the morning, it's usually about 7 o'clock that I do it, is there's no one on the roads, and if there is people on the roads, it's runners do the same thing as me. But yeah, the traffic's usually bad, which is better on a run, so then you can think I'm not sat in that traffic. But it's try and get out in the morning, because there's people here now who have just jumped on the bike because it's last thing at night and they need to do it before they go home. So I don't want to be doing that with them.
Brilliant. Well, mate, you guys want to raise $5,000, is that correct?
Yeah.
Or that's the target.
We set a target as $5,000 as a club just to do it, but the whole Prostate United fundraiser in total has raised over $50,000 already. So wow. It's really good, and they're continuing to do so, and I'm sure they'll raise a lot more.
That's absolutely brilliant. But I see that your target is 25% at the moment, which 15, 16 days in is still very good. So you're still on course to get that. Do you know if there's going to be any added things thrown in? Like, for example, like you mentioned the raffle last season. Do you think you guys are going to do something like that to bump it up a bit?
I don't think for this one we'll be doing raffles or anything. But there's, I think we're going to be doing some raffles in December for something different, I think. But okay. Not 100% yet what the plan is. But the raffles are coming in December, but for this one, it's just a case of trying to spread the word and see if anyone will donate. Obviously, we're not going to push anyone to donate, and if they can't, they can't. But any pennies count, and if they can, then it'd be great.
Yeah, we're going to put the link to the fundraising site on the comment section, so that'll be there. Hopefully, give you guys a bit of a boost there. In terms of your colleagues, how many people are doing the run or the bike ride with you? Okay,
so in total, I think there's 17 clubs involved.
Right.
And out of them 17 clubs, there's about 200 odd people, not players, people running and cycling. But from Wolves, there's 16 of us doing the running/cycling. So we've got quite a good turnout, and it's from all over the club. So from the medical team, there's 4 of us. From sports science, there's 2 or 3. Then you got people from working in the shop. There's people working in the ticketing office. There's a big in the media. It's been really well taken across the whole club. I think from what we've done previously, I think people have been waiting for another challenge to join in with. So on our internal emails, we've been getting some support and people wanting to get involved. So it's been really well taken, and I think the work that the guys at Rotherham have done to set all this up and get T-shirts involved and get everyone in the same kind of groups and things like that has been unbelievable and an inspiration, really. Was something that I'd love to do myself.
Yeah, do you know what, mate? I think credit also needs to go to the clubs for not having an issue with something like this, because obviously a lot of clubs have their own charity dealings, so to speak. They already have their own charities who they support. So obviously Wolves haven't complained about it, they haven't told you guys not to do it. So, got to give them their credit, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And I think clubs are great when it comes to doing charity things. And yeah, they might have their charity partners and things like that, but then they'll never stop you doing work for charity and helping promote you. Like they've done stories on the website, they've tweeted about it and things like that, which is great because it gives you more exposure to the fans all around the world. So fair play to not just us, but the other clubs, because you can see it all over Twitter all the time. Different clubs tweeting and supporting their staff, which is unbelievable, really.
Brilliant. Well, mate, before we go off subject, is there anything else you'd like to mention with regards to the fundraiser? Anything else that perhaps we haven't spoken about already that you want to get out there?
No, obviously you'll share the link. It's on my Instagram all the time. It's on Twitter. Yeah, if there's anything, anyone can donate anything, as little as it might be, or just words of support, it'd be fantastic. And just keep us going, because I think there's 13 days left. Probably the hardest 13 of the lot.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's switch gears a little bit, mate, because we weren't going to drag this out for too long. We've done 17 minutes, which is brilliant. But let's talk about why you're a Yordi-holic. Why do you love Yordi Gomez so much? We love him, as Omonoia others. We love him. He's our captain, But why do you love Yordi Gomez so much, Dan? Can you say?
When I was a kid, I always wanted to be him. No, I was from being a young boy. I've been a Blackburn fan for many, many, many years. I used to go. I was there when they won the league. If anyone don't remember, Blackburn won the league.
94.
So, I've been a season ticket holder and everything before I got involved in football. And obviously, I try and see how players are getting on. Like Yordi Gomez, for example. There's lots from Matt Derbyshire who was over there as well. There's lots of players that I've tried to see how they're getting on, and some do well. Henning Berg, yeah, obviously.
Our head coach.
Henning Berg.
See, 3.
He was our manager as well. Not for
That's
long
right,
ago,
yeah. That's right, yeah.
He's doing well, and yeah, I try to see how they're all getting on, and yeah, Yordi Gomez is one of them that was playing when I had my season ticket. I don't think he did as well as we would have hoped, but I was always very fond of him, and he always seemed to do a good job. So big fan of his, obviously.
There you go.
And keep in touch. I keep in touch with the team that he's at now, so all good.
Superb. See, there's always a theme when we have guests on. This is the thing. When people come on the show, people ask me, "Oh, why have you got that one on?" And then when they watch this, they're like, see, now I know why you got him on. See, there's always some ulterior motive. I'm very crafty.
Exactly.
Brilliant. Dan, listen, mate, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. I know that you've got things to do, like go home and relax, put your feet up. So thank you for jumping on board. Before I let you go, do you want to give our listeners or viewers your Instagram or anything else, or should I just stick them in the link?
Well, my Instagram and my Twitter are both the same, so it's at Danny_Fishwick. And if you want to check our Wolves one, it's at Wolves Sports Med. But you'll send the links, won't you? So all good. I
shall indeed, mate. There you go.
Perfect.
All right, God Bailey, that's it for another episode of the No Chofters podcast. Short and sweet this time, but hey, we got the message across. So I'm going to put the link to the fundraiser in the description. Follow me on Instagram, as you can see my little tag down there. So until next time, don't forget to subscribe, tell your NOUNA as well. So until next time, bye.